Say hey, Steph.
Hey, Steph.
We are here to talk about a show called Love is Blind.
Well, it is, I want to say kind of like a speed dating situation,
but not.
And I think where she screwed it all up was when she called out his friend that he ended up sleeping with. He confided in her off camera. And then when she brought it up, it basically embarrassed her, where she had actually nothing to do with their relationship. And that conversation never should have been brought up on camera.
And it's like this push-pull. It's like, I hate you, but don't leave me. Like, I hate you, but don't ever go away. The reality is, it is just not an easy landscape. I don't know if it's ever been easy.
I have no idea.
I think it's just been, it's just shifted. I'm old enough to remember the shift from a time when meeting somebody online was weird to now meeting someone offline is weird.
Artlist.io.
Hello! And welcome to Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast. My name is Nilla. I'm a marriage and family therapist and relationship coach. I travel the world helping individuals learn the skills they need to have happy and healthy relationships. And I'm joined here by my friends today, Steph. Say hey, Steph.
Hey, Steph.
Steph is here because we're going to be talking about a very special topic that we both very much enjoy, that my dear husband does not enjoy, so he is not going to be here today. We are here to talk about a show called Love is Blind. Love is Blind is streaming on Netflix. You can see it on, we're in season 6.
Yes.
And the show has a really interesting premise. So it starts with 25 singles of each gender. Tell us a little bit about how the show set the stage. What is the show about?
Well, it is kind of like I want to say kind of like a speed dating situation. But
not.
Speed dating, but not speed dating. I mean, some of their dates are pretty long.
It feels like hyper dating, you know?
Yeah.
Like that seems more like a more accurate term.
But they're in these pods, so they're talking to each other through a wall.
Right.
So they're making these connections with people sight unseen.
Right. And they don't get to see each other at all during the first part of the process.
Oh, absolutely not.
And I think they even up until they get in.
They basically get engaged and then they get to see each other. So basically their connection is supposed to end in an engagement where they finally have the reveal of each other.
Right. And then after the reveal, so that's the first half of the show.
After the reveal.
And then after the reveal, they go, of course, on the reality show
their
staple,
like a vacation.
Which is some vacation to some beautiful tropical resort someplace where they get to hang out and do really fun stuff and like get a little saucy on camera. You know, and have some drama.
With their golden cups.
That's the signature if you haven't seen the show.
Yes. And also and then they go live with each other.
Right.
After for a few weeks before they decide if they're going to actually go through with the marriage or if they're going to break up.
Right. So as you can imagine, this is a show that is just rife with drama, just so much drama. And it's so interesting to watch these couples develop. There were 3 couples that we followed for season 6 primarily.
Yes.
That was Chelsea and Jimmy.
Do you want to let the audience know that we're about to go into some spoilers?
We are definitely going to go to spoilers. We're going to just list the couples and then let them know what we're talking about, right? So it's going to be Jimmy and Chelsea. Oh, you're right, actually. If they haven't seen it at all, it's probably a spoiler. You're right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you got one couple. And the rest is a secret. Okay, guys, honestly, we're at the last episode of the season. So if you don't know the couples yet, look, go watch it on Netflix.
So we're a few days before they actually air the reunion as we're recording this. So we haven't even seen the reunion yet.
Yes.
but we already know who's gone to the altar, who
Right.
hasn't gone to the altar.
Right.
And we were kind of chatting a little bit prior to this about kind of the setup of this. We're talking about it's very heteronormative.
Yeah, well, there are some problems with it, and I'm so glad that you pointed that out. Because listen, it's just light TV, guys.
Yeah.
Like nobody here is trying to make any like deep social commentary.
Oh, no.
Nobody's trying to solve political issues with this television show. But it is important to point out that this is a show that is very heteronormative.
Mm-hmm.
It is very reinforcing of particularly gender stereotypes.
Yeah.
In the way that it's structured, in the sense that, for example, the men are required to ask the women's hand in marriage. There's nothing like that in the reverse that is available there.
I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever, in any of the seasons, I don't think I've ever seen the woman.
It's not the format.
No, absolutely not.
And there are no same-sex couples or alternative relationships, and that is, not representative.
And they're very young.
And they're all very young. They're
very
all
young,
much like models.
I think they're all. I don't think any of them are over 30.
Some of them they do get over 30. They get into like the late.
Well, I thought
mid to late 30s.
This season I thought was actually kind of interesting because they actually had one girl who was a single mother.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Which I personally, I'm like, kind of shame on you, Netflix.
Why?
Well,
single moms get to date.
No, single moms get to date. Yeah. But the thing is when you're dating in the real life,
right,
you get to know this person before bringing them home to your child.
Right. Sure.
Whereas with this, before you actually marry this person, you've got such it's such an expedited process where you don't really know this human that you're bringing into your child's life.
Well, I would say this. I personally would find it a bit irresponsible. The other thing too is we got to remember, y'all, this is a television show. So
this is mindless TV. I watch it because I don't have to think about it watching it.
People have all kinds of different reasons. Maybe they really wanted a television show thinking they're going to find absolute true love. Perhaps
some of them actually.
Some of them do.
We've seen some in the past.
But some people have alternative motives. I don't know that girl that I don't know that she was actually going to do anything and actually for real get married. Like we don't know what people. People
a
are
lot
on the show
of them
for
I
clout.
think are doing for clout for their to up their social media following.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we're going to get into it. So I just want to be really, really clear, y'all. If you have not yet watched this season, which is season 6 of Love is Blind, now is the time to go ahead and dip out, listen to another one of Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast's episodes until you've had a chance to watch the season, then come back here. So this is your official spoiler alert. If you have not watched the show, we are going to tell you and talk. We're going to talk about the couples. We're going to talk about what happened. Mm-hmm. So now you know.
Yes,
we have done our due diligence. Okay. So the couples, we end up following 3 couples that really go through the entire ish process. 4 couples, really.
There was 4 couples that got past the vacation.
Yeah, it was really crazy how many of them just crashed and burned.
Well, with Kenneth, I have a couple of things with Kenneth and Brittany.
So let's just for our listeners' sake, Kenneth and Brittany were 2 folks who met.
Yeah.
And
very religious.
Very religious.
Yeah.
And part of the arc of their storyline was the fact that Kenneth had never dated outside of his race before.
Yeah. She had, it sounded like.
I don't recall if she had or not.
Yeah, they had talked about it, and it sounded she had talked about she is actually. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much of his idea changed after his conversation with AD. Or
I don't know. I feel like that was just editing. I mean, if having a conversation with another stranger suddenly changed my mindset, I don't know.
I'm kind of wondering about Kenneth.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know that. Again, I don't know that he went in there with the idea that he was going to go get married to some person.
Yeah.
We can't know people's motivations.
We have no idea.
It was one of those ones that just crashed and burned out early, and he dipped.
He gaslit the heck out of this girl.
It was really, I was really disappointed because at first he seemed like such a good dude.
I thought they were. I was rooting for them at the beginning when they first met he seemed
so polite.
I love the fact that he was doting on her at the when they were on vacation, he was making sure in front of everybody that she had her chairs and that she had, he was very gentlemanly. He was talking up about how, well, at the end of the day, I want to talk about where we're at and blah, blah, blah every night. And then it seemed like they got back from their vacation and he was like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, you're going to make dinner, right? I don't want to go out. You're making dinner.
For our listeners, just so you're aware, we're tapping our phones and just having the phone directly in front of our face and just staring at the phone instead of the person.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, see, Kenneth is the kind of person I hear about quite a bit in my practice. Okay. These are folks I call future fakers, and they're the kind of person, and gender, guy, girl, whatever, but they're the kind of person that holds out the future that someone really, really wants, and they're really good at painting a picture because they understand it's almost like paint by numbers. They understand the picture that the other person wants to see.
Yes,
and so they just pretend that they're going to be that. Whether they're there, whether that's actually what they do,
whether that's any of their intention,
whether it's their intention or not, right? And generally it's not their intention, but because it's always in the future, it doesn't really matter, right? So that when you try to match what the present person is with the future fake that they have created, it's really hard to reconcile because, like, you're telling me all these wonderful things, but they're always like, not right now. Right now just sucks, But next week or next year or next month, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. We're going to be so compatible. We're going to be like such a strong couple and like all that stuff. Kenneth is what I would call a future faker. And this one, tended to crash and burn quick.
He dipped out quick.
Yeah.
Soon as she was just like telling him, "Oh, you don't crave me, you don't touch me, this and this, blah blah."
Missing the crave.
What? It's not going to happen. He was just immediately like, "All right, give me a hug, so we know we don't got any beef." And immediately on the phone with his boy, "You come and pick me up."
Out.
Or done. Whoever it was, I don't know, boy, girl, whoever.
I think he was in it for the vacation, honestly.
Yeah, that wouldn't.
Because he was like, "Oh man, I could have swam with the dolphins.
I want to see dolphins.
I could have done the blah blah blah."
Yeah, super excited about the dolphins.
Right. He just did not care about
this
hanging
girl
out with that chick. So honestly, he did her a favor because future fakers are really hard to be in relationships with long term.
Oh God,
they're those people that are always promising and never delivering.
I think I've been, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I see your. So you just made a sound and your face just did some stuff. What do you know about future faking?
I think I may have run across some of those.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds like more than
they
one.
didn't last very long though. Yeah. They didn't last very long at all.
They tend not to because it's hard for them to keep up the facade.
Yeah.
Right? It's really hard to keep up that loving thing because they're not really that person.
They're not really there. So one of us ends up dipping.
One person ends up dipping. And oftentimes it's them because they just get, almost like Kenneth, they just get bored. Right? Like, I can't keep up the facade.
Right. Okay, next.
The rewards of all this love bombing is not what I want anymore. So now I'm just going to drop it. And then it's like, ka-chunk. Like, just dropped.
Yeah.
So I label Kenneth a future faker. Future faker. So they flamed out. And they flamed out on the honeymoon. They flamed out before the end of the trip.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but as soon as they got back home, he was on his phone and it was done.
Done. So
we didn't see any more of them.
R.I.P. Brittany and Kenneth. Terrible match.
Brittany, you're gonna find a good one.
Sure. And Kenneth, maybe you too will find somebody that you can connect with on your phone. I don't know. Right. So the next couple, let's talk about the next train wreck, I guess. Well, we'll talk about them in order of whether they made it to the article. You already know what I'm saying. Chelsea and Jimmy.
Chelsea pissed me off. Megan Fox.
Yeah, she's so
Megan Foe.
Megan Foe. So if you guys don't know, part of the storyline that continues to get brought up about this couple,
Megan Fox T-Rex.
I don't know what that means.
Because she thought she told Jimmy that she looked like Megan Fox. So we think that Jimmy may have chosen her because she said that. But then she's always talking about, but then I go running out like
I missed that part.
Yeah, so she brings it up all the time about how she's like this T-Rex. Now she runs out, so she's like Megan Fox T-Rex.
Okay. Well, y'all, I think
T-Rex
that
Megan Fox?
general consensus is that this woman does not look like Megan Fox.
I can see
like
little things. Like Megan Fox 20 Faces prior. Like Jennifer's body, Megan Fox.
Yes.
But you see it more because she's, and she even says it too. I mean, to be fair, she says, well, it's because I have blue eyes and dark hair.
Right.
But I can see part of it. I mean, her chin's just a little bit bigger and things like that. But I can kind of see where she favors her.
I can understand how someone might say something along those lines.
Like this reminds me of this.
It just blew up so much across the internet. But she does not
look like Megan Fox.
No, she doesn't look like Megan Fox. I don't think anybody, if you put them side by side, would be like, these people resemble each other. That's not these two.
No, absolutely not.
You know, there are people that resemble each other, like Zoe Saldana and Tandy Newton.
Yeah, those
people are identical, right? Like, but this was not that kind of match, y'all.
No. And I thought it was funny though too, because Jimmy seemed to get scared too, and he was like, "Just you wait, you're gonna meet her." When you meet me, you're gonna choke because of how. But he honestly handled that situation, I thought, pretty well.
Yeah, you know,
when he actually met her,
I don't, and you know, the focus has been on that particular comment. I think the bigger thing for me was watching the insecurity
of Chelsea,
of both of those folks.
Oh, that's true too. But
both of those folks, but Chelsea in particular, because I think she's portrayed as hysteric. But like I just, there was this deep insecurity. It seemed in both of them.
But especially with her, and I think where she screwed it all up was when she called out his friend. That he ended up sleeping with. He confided in her off camera. And then when she brought it up, it basically embarrassed her, where she had actually nothing to do with their relationship. And that conversation never should have been brought up on camera.
Sure. Agreed. Yeah. It's definitely a breach of trust. But you know, there were so many immaturities before that. Honestly, the entire process to me for those two seemed to be very immature as well.
They were very toxic.
They seemed to be in this kind of like a dance of people pleasing and then withdrawing, and then people pleasing, then withdrawing. And sometimes that insecurity leads to almost like a personality profile. And it's like this push pull. It's like, I hate you, but don't leave me. Like, I hate you, but don't ever go away. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's super toxic. Like, it's a really difficult structure to live with. I would agree with Jimmy that I think he made the right decision, that like, whoa, this is like, I can't
I think he made the right decision, hands down.
Right. I also think that maybe he probably wasn't as honest about himself, about his feelings.
I don't think he was as into her as he kept trying to tell her he was.
Right. And when you're disingenuous in that way, like, people know, like, you know, when someone's like gassing you up and you're like, this person is
I mean,
not
he
for
handled
real.
the Jessica situation well.
He handled the Jessica situation
I mean, but I don't know, as well as, you know they can on these things.
It was like, you know,
but
as far as we saw.
Yeah, as far as we saw, as far as the TV showed us. But, Chelsea. And it seems like it would be crazy because they would be getting along and things would be great. And all of a sudden she would just bring something up out of the blue. And you're just like, where did this argument come from?
Yeah.
Where did she pull this out of? And why? Why are you just going to all of a sudden just bring up this thing when you guys are seemingly getting along and things are starting to be on a good track?
Right. That's that I hate you, don't leave me.
Yeah.
Right. It's really difficult. It's a tough structure.
And then the way she would just down talk him. I guess there's another one I kind of want to talk about, even though they're not our top three. Would be Laura and
oh, we're gonna get to them. Don't worry. We definitely
Laura
gonna
and
get
Jeremy
to them. We definitely gonna get to them.
Okay, cool.
Right, for sure.
Please.
Yeah, but because I think we're maybe going in levels of toxicity.
Okay, yeah.
Because that was super toxic. That was super toxic relationship.
Well, and there's other things I want to talk about with that one too. With that,
yeah. But I think ultimately Jimmy and Chelsea that was the right decision. They definitely 100%. Should not have been together. I think to me it also highlights an issue, and these folks are grown adults and everything.
Yeah,
they can do what they want to do. But also, y'all are just kind of sleeping together on TV. It's just very weird to me. I find that very, very strange. That part of the storyline is like, do they, don't they, will they, won't they, do they enjoy it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's a lot of like sex talk. There's a lot of penis talk.
I mean, it's one thing. It's fine if you. I mean, I'm not gonna.
It's just
I'm
again
not gonna,
very
I'm
weird
not
to
gonna
me.
Judge anybody for fucking somebody on the first night.
Not at all.
No,
but
if you're feeling it, you're feeling it.
Ultimately, very weird to me.
But at the same time, I don't think.
And I think it confuses things. I think it really confuses the issue if, I'm trying to determine if this is someone that I really want to marry. Mm-hmm. The rush to figure out if we are sexually compatible to me is a part of that. Yeah. And I think that's also, I'll just say it flat out. I don't think this process really works for most people because it is such a rushed process that it hurries people along, really vital relationship milestones.
And I think that's
really quickly.
At first I was kind of like cool with like, even though I'm not religious by any means, I was actually kind of cool with the way at first Brittany and Kenneth saying that they were going to start off. They wanted to wait till marriage and stuff like that. I'm like, sure, that's actually pretty cool.
And I think for something like that, this is a process that would work really well because you have very clear values. You have very clear boundaries. Mm-hmm. Those boundaries are similar and easily communicated. Yeah. I mean, that to me sounds like, if it sounds like they should do Love is Blind Mormon. Right? Love is Blind Utah. That's, oh God. Vanessa, Nick, I'm pitching it to you.
We're going to Utah.
Love is Blind Utah.
Just make sure they're only marrying one person.
Just to increase your number, just to increase your success rate, y'all.
Just make sure that these men aren't marrying, like taking home like sister wives.
Yeah, well, also that part, right? But still, let's improve the stats, guys. Let's just have some like cohesion here. I think that's part of the challenge. I think that's part of the problem. We were once I watched season 6, I was curious about the other countries that do Love is Blind.
Oh yeah, isn't it like Sweden doing it?
So there's Love is Blind Sweden, just had their first season. Mm-hmm. There's Love is Blind Brazil, and there's Love is Blind Japan.
Ooh, now, so I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. That'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm. And so far, I've started watching Sweden.
Okay.
Now, spoiler alert, if you plan to watch Sweden, here's a spoiler alert. Do you mind if I spoil you for Sweden?
Go ahead, because I don't know if I'm... Is it in English or is it subtitled?
It's subtitled.
Okay.
Yeah, it's dubbed over.
That's interesting, especially when it's...
all of the couples that matched married.
Oh, wow.
Every single one of them. And they're all still together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I mean, like I said, I was even surprised because like even last year when we had Zach and Bliss married and Vanessa should be very happy. Vanessa Lachey should be very happy because we're having our first Love is Blind baby.
That's right. Creepy as that is.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like every reunion she was like, babies.
Very creepy, y'all.
But you see, they're still married. Tiffany and the Browns. They're the Browns.
Yes.
I can't remember his name to save my life.
Yeah.
Very handsome. They're a beautiful couple. They're still married. And I think even from the first couple seasons that there's a couple of people that are still married.
Yeah. I mean, it's not to say that there aren't success stories, but on the whole, I think we've come to expect the drama and the train wreck and the absolute falling apart of these relationships. Yeah. I just found it really interesting that that their format actually wound up with 3 or 4 or however many it was really successful relationships that are, still intact and have just again a higher average than any of the American seasons.
I think the other Chelsea and Kwame are still married too from last year. So there were three couples that ended up staying married.
I think that was the season before it was Chelsea and Kwame. That was season 4.
No, that was also with Tiffany and
I think that was season 4. I don't remember. I don't know. Listeners, if you know,
go ahead
and let us know. Let us know. I have no idea.
In.
But let's get back to these couples. Yeah. So now we're starting to kind of wander into all the other couples.
I'm good at that.
Let's come back to season 6. And let's so we now know that Jimmy and Chelsea are kaputs, and yay, good decision.
Yeah,
excellent decision.
Yeah, I was actually pretty happy, and it's
so let's talk about your next toxic twosome. Who was the toxic twosome that we wanted to talk about?
I think that Jeremy and Laura.
Yeah,
Laura was terrible. I'm sorry.
Really?
Laura, I think Laura's awful.
Interesting. Okay,
because
so
I mean,
why?
Well,
why?
I don't think
why?
Jeremy's great either. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but I mean, as soon as they met the families, I hate this about him. I hate this about him. He can't wear Hawaiian shirts. He can't do this. I don't like this and that. And they were just like little trivial things. And she was complaining in front of him to her family about his Hawaiian shirts. And then you notice when he left, they weren't together anymore. He's wearing Hawaiian shirts and all these other episodes.
I again think that there was just a level of immaturity with these two. That just
the thing going on with him and Sarah Ann, but yet, and so she's pissed off about that. But then she's helping Jessica still get with Jimmy, and basically do the same thing Sarah Ann is doing to her.
Yeah, you know,
I saw just a lot of two-face, like I don't know, like I don't.
There were some hypocritical happenings going on for sure. I also think she got the raw end of the stick, and I think a lot of the complaining was just the venting of really feeling and recognizing that she'd made a very wrong choice.
Yeah,
right. And so, like, if you're unhappy,
I don't believe they belong together.
No. And there's nothing worse, even in a fake marriage. I gotta tell you, there is nothing worse than being in a bad marriage. It is terrible.
And the amount of sleuthing she did to find him in his lies when he went to go hang out with Sarah Ann.
Yeah, anytime I need to be chasing behind
the whole iWatch thing. Well, it's showing that you were actually here when this and this and this and this and this. I mean, I was just like, wow, how did she do that?
Yeah, you know, but again, I come to the premise that, guys, this is a TV show. Do you really anticipate this person is going to be like ultimately faithfully, you know, connected to you in like a matter of weeks? No. Yes. And apparently Jeremy was an even sleazier person.
Well, they were saying that he was like married. He was married and in a relationship prior to coming on the show.
He had just left that relationship. He had just sold the house. He had just sold the family home from that divorce, and like literally like a week. And and apparently he wasn't like the greatest partner either. So allegedly. So
we don't know these people.
We don't know these people. We don't know them in real life. We just know what the television has decided to show us about this very weird twist that they've taken in their
like
lives.
I said, I mean, Jeremy wasn't a good guy by any means, but I didn't think Laura was either. I didn't like her. I didn't like her at all. And then, like I said, the whole Sarah Ann situation, but yet she was doing the same thing to help Jessica get with.
Yeah.
Oh, and can we talk about AD tearing down Sarah Ann?
Sure. So now,
I actually really like AD.
So I do. I want to give our listeners some background though, because I want to make sure that they know what we're talking about, right? Yeah. So as we're kind of moving around, so
all day, AD
all day, is friends with. Let's see. So Laura. now you guys, just so you're aware
of the sexualization of AD.
So just so that you're aware of how the show premise works, the girls and the guys all live together. So the girls all know each other and the guys all know each other. So in addition to the relationships that they're forming across the pods, they are also forming relationships and friendships with each other. That also can be a cause of drama if you haven't seen this format. And that's also part of what we see in the show. So as a part of that relationship, AD had a conversation with another contestant. Her name was Sarah Ann, who had not been selected to move forward in a marriage or engagement, but was still contacting a person that was right. That was
and this
engaged.
Was Jeremy,
Laura,
who is supposed to be engaged to Laura,
right? Of Toxic Jeremy and Laura fame.
Yes.
So that's the background, and AD decides to have a conversation with Sarah Ann, and like Share a little bit about that conversation.
So the conversation was basically she basically handed Sarah Ann her ass and was like, basically put her in her place and told her she was wrong for it, which I agree with.
Really?
I kind of agree with it in some respects that,
I feel like it was none of AD's business.
It really wasn't,
just
but at the same time, AD doesn't listen to her own. AD needs to listen to her own advice.
Yeah, I just felt like AD just needed to get out the business. I didn't understand why she was having the conversation.
I really, when they were on vacation,
yeah,
I really got upset about the whole bean dip thing I really got upset about the whole sexualization of AD. Mm-hmm. The whole crew sexualized AD.
Yes.
Because she's just this absolutely, I think she's the most stunning woman on.
Yeah, she's pretty gorgeous
in this season.
Mm-hmm. She's a pretty gorgeous woman.
And they completely, yeah. And my heart was breaking for her, and for the fact that she just kind of went along with it. Like, yeah, I know, I got this nice booty because the Lord gave it to me. My mama and the Lord gave me my booty.
Has she commented on that at all? What was her experience of that? I wonder.
I haven't seen anything about that.
Okay.
And yeah, and it just kind of that whole thing, and
I wonder if that's going to come out in the reunion. And the fact that
Laura wouldn't take responsibility for the whole telling Jeremy about the bean dip thing, about the nipples and stuff like that. I was just like, it was something about along the lines of where he should go flick her nipples or something like that.
Gross.
And the fact that Laura even would joke about something like that with her dude about another woman.
Yeah.
And then she wouldn't, I was just joking. And wouldn't even take any type of responsibility, but yet AD's like, I'm with Laura. And I was
and that's why I wanted to know if she had commented on that and what her experience of that was. Because I don't know. I think, again, it can be a different experience, right, for the people that are there. As I saw it, she didn't seem upset by it.
Yeah.
And she didn't comment. Everyone around her commented about how upset they were by it.
That's true.
But I don't know if she has expressed that. And at least in the moment, it didn't seem as if it was something that, because first of all, she is a stunning woman.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
I'm sure that people comment about her physicality,
and she's got like these insane curves.
Basis, right?
She's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She's stacked.
And it's not that it's great, but I almost saw it. Well, not the bean tip one. The one with the one with Jimmy,
Chelsea and Jimmy, where
she saw as like, I think that was a compliment, and that was a for real compliment, right? The bean dip thing was just, they're just nasty people.
It was trashy.
They're just nasty people.
Yeah, it was gross.
They're just nasty people.
It was gross.
I think she handled it the best way she can, but I would love to hear about
how she actually was feeling at that time.
Thought about that, how she experienced that, whether she thought it was a joke. I'd be really curious to hear what she had to say about that.
Likewise. AD, chime in, please. Chime in, baby.
And speaking of AD, let's go ahead and start talking about AD and Clay.
Oh, gosh. Clay.
And here's the thing.
Clay is his dad.
Clay had a lot of red flags.
Clay had a lot of red flags
going the whole way.
I'm going to be just like my dad. I haven't seen any good marriages.
Right.
Every man I know cheats. His dad would take him on his cheating escapades.
I'd make you go take your ass to the gym if you gain weight.
Oh, if you get pregnant, that's okay. You're going to get back in the gym.
Yeah, I mean, it was like some for real seriousness.
Oh, and did you see the way? Oh, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty red flag though, too, the way he slurped up his soup.
What?
Anybody who watched that scene, the whole soup slurping out of the.
Oh, I must have missed that. I must have missed that part.
It was just kind of gross. Here's your spoon, baby.
But here's the thing. I actually ended up having. I actually probably liked Clay the most out of all the dudes. But
I was going to say, I don't think Clay was a bad guy
in terms of his arc, in terms of his story arc. I loved his story arc.
And I think and I really actually liked him for being able to tell AD, hey, let's wait on getting married. I'm not ready to get married right now.
Yeah, I really wish he would have given her a heads up
prior to that.
Yeah. That's the only thing I would have done differently. I do think that Clay, at the end of the day, while he is going through this like period of like self-realization and growth, ultimately he strikes me as someone who's just very selfish and very entitled.
Yeah.
And
I dated someone really that the whole time actually watching him, there's this one dude I dated off and on for a few years that reminded me very much of Clay. Had his shit. I mean, on paper, he had his shit together. He had a house. He had a job. He had, good looking, but nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was great on paper, but no.
And in that sense, I think AD dodged bullets.
Yeah, I think he actually gave AD a favor. I think he really, I respected Clay in that moment of him saying, I can't marry you right now.
Yep.
And hats off, I really liked Clay's mama.
I did too. I thought it was very touching to see the unfortunate results of multi-generational trauma, right? These things, even his dad said, I didn't have good role models. I didn't have people
but it's an
looking
excuse.
out for me. It's an excuse, but it's also a reality. I mean, the reality of multi-generational trauma, and we see this in families, is that oftentimes folks who struggle with infidelity have parents who have struggled with infidelity. And, we learn these things as kids. So the way we see relationships, we get as children, we don't have a choice of what that looks like. And it becomes an operating system because like it's the only system we're given. Right. So when, folks are preoccupied or, have mental health struggles or have selfishness or entitlement or other challenges, they pass that on to their kids.
It's true.
And he's right to think that he should really consider how he can break those generational cycles.
Curses, yeah. And it broke my heart when AD, she did it even with Matt, the psychotic guy, the Clark Kent. But what broke my heart about AD is so worthy.
Yes.
She's so worthy. She's a good woman. She's got her shit together. She's beautiful. She's kind. She's, she seems like she'd be a good friend. And she seems like she'd be a great partner. But she kept saying, why am I never picked? Why am I the one that's always left behind? And it just broke my heart for her because I'm like, girl, it's because this one's not the one for you. Because there's something so much better for you than these trash men that are
right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it maybe speaks to the state of what dating is like. Because dating's
hard
sucks.
today.
It's so terrible.
Single girl here. Hey.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I'm on the market. But yeah, no date, and dating isn't easy even in our age right now. It's
I think it's harder as you get older. Like there's no question that as you and AD is fortunately still very young.
She's very young. She's not in her 30s yet.
No, she's in her 30s.
Oh, she's in her 30s.
She's in her 30s, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
I can tell you right now, it's like I'll be on the sites for a little while and then I get overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't. I can't. It's not easy. I've had a really difficult. I personally am having a difficult time. Meeting men that I even want to give my energy to, even in person and stuff like that. And Yep.
So I mean, again, I understand the premise because like this, I guess, seems like a great way to be able to maybe bypass some of that.
And that's one of the things that a lot of them say on when they're talking about why they did this was because they said that the dating apps weren't working for them. They didn't know how to meet people. And I get it. I get it because I'm doing the same thing. Right. I've done the Bumble. I've done Hinge. I did plenty of fuckboys. I mean, plenty of fish. Right. I even tried Facebook dating for a few hours before I was like, no.
Right. Right. So so assuming that I don't want to do the apps and I don't want to go on a reality show.
Yeah.
What is my best option to meet somebody out in this, out in this landscape, in this dating world right now?
I wish I could tell you because I mean, I even take myself out on dates and maybe, like, okay, I'll take myself to the movies and then the theater I usually go to has like a yard house underneath and right directly underneath it. So I'll take myself to the movies and then go downstairs and get myself an appetizer and an old fashioned and, in hopes, well, who knows? maybe I'll rub elbows with some hottie. He'll come in and
right,
be like, hey, what you drinking?
right.
That hasn't happened. So I also work at I also host karaoke at a bar and
that's a good option.
So, and I haven't met anybody there. It's not like I don't put myself out there, and I do talk to people. I'm kind of extroverted, so it's like I don't have a problem talking to people and things like that. It's just I just haven't. I don't it's not like I'm just keeping myself locked up in the home. I just don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's tough for everybody.
It absolutely is.
For our listeners, I would suggest to you that you might want to consider what it actually takes to build friendship.
Yeah.
And what it takes to build friendship is proximity. I got to be near people.
Yes.
Typically, it is some kind of forced or reinforced regularity. And that is where, it's going to something on such a regular basis that I become a part of the fabric of that community. So it's the difference of like, I'm going to go to a book signing event or I'm going to go to a book club.
Yeah.
The book club is going to be more likely to create friendships, even though I might meet more people at the book event, signing event. Right.
Exactly. Well, it's just like me being part of the horror community.
Yes.
And I go to the conventions and stuff, trying to, who knows, maybe I'll rub elbows against another horror person.
Right.
Yeah. You know.
So but the reality is it is just not an easy landscape. I don't know if it's ever been easy.
I have no idea.
I think it's just been, it's just shifted. I'm old enough to remember the shift from, a time when meeting somebody online was weird. To now meeting someone offline is weird.
Yeah. And I'm trying to do both. And with what I've noticed even online, and I'm sorry, I've taken you completely off topic.
Yeah, so okay.
But I've noticed with even dating online, it's like I'll be talking to somebody for a while, and it's like you're like, okay, well, when are we going to meet? When are we going to meet? Right. And they end up becoming, and the last few times I've been trying to do this online dating thing, it's like I've got pen pals, and I'm like,
right, you got your own version of Love is Blind.
I'm telling you, I'm like, we've been chatting for over a couple weeks now. It would be nice if you would just meet me up for coffee.
Right. That doesn't happen. Boo.
Yeah. Cheesecake Factory, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do if I were kind of back in the market in that kind of like sustained way. Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough. It's tough. I had no idea what I was getting back into.
Yeah. Well, that leaves one last couple, and there's not really much to say. They're the boring couple.
And Johnny, they're the boring couple because they weren't toxic and had a lot of drama. They didn't have a lot of drama surrounding them.
They tried to gin up some drama, but honestly, really nobody cared. Good luck to you guys.
Their drama was the birth control thing, and I'm going, well, you guys, condoms.
And if you're not doing it, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly, because
you have the ultimate form of birth control, which is abstinence, you guys, which is what y'all said you was doing.
Because that was my thing. It's like,
so what's the conversation?
When I was married, I had a hard time with birth. I always had a hard time with birth control with my hormones, and we used condoms. And I'm just like, why was this never talked about? I mean, they went immediately into vasectomy.
Yeah, because TV show. Because television show. You have to, because they were boring and you had to have some drama. I mean, that's how much drama they had to have. They were so boring, they had to come up with a fake vasectomy idea for people who wanted to have children. That's the stupidest thing you've ever heard.
And you never heard the word condom.
No.
And if you're allergic to latex, use latex free. It's okay.
Yeah, that's just, I think they just needed some, they were just filler for television show. They had to pay for their vacation somehow, so they had to keep them in the show by contract.
Yeah, they had to keep them because they were the only one going through. They had
nobody
to keep
cared.
At least one
Good luck, you guys.
Story.
All the best to you.
I hope you
go be boring for the rest of your life.
I hope you give Vanessa a Love is Blind baby.
Yeah, beautiful. Fantastic. Yes, good job, you guys. Boo. Wonderful. Boring. So that brings us to, I guess, our question of the day.
Okay, and our question of the day comes from Forrest.
All right. Thanks, Forrest.
And Forrest is asking us, Why do empaths always end up with narcissists? Well, that's a good question.
So kind of. It's an okay question. I very much appreciate the question. Thank you for sending it in. I'm actually kind of excited to talk about this
and I've dealt with this kind of stuff too.
Well,
the word narcissist is actually thrown out a lot, though, too.
I think that's the problem, right? Because, for me, narcissist has a diagnostic space. It's a diagnostic label that has a particular meaning. So I'm going to maybe change that from why do an empath is just kind of like a word.
I think it's another word that's
it's a word that just kind of like all encompasses anyone who has like some form of sensitivity. Yeah. It's hard to define. So these are terms just at the outset, I think, is really hard to define. So I'm going to say, why do people who are selfish tend to partner with people who are selfless? We do see that
a lot.
Pretty often.
Absolutely.
And I think that's maybe an easier question to answer because narcissist and empath are such loaded words.
Yeah.
And honestly, if somebody's a narcissist, stop. Just don't date them. Just don't do it.
but like I actually like the way you put it with the selfish versus the selfless, because obviously the selfless person is going to be like your Captain Save-A-Ho. That's gonna want to give, and then obviously if they're that selfless, then the selfish person is gonna prey upon that and take because they're selfish.
Kind of. See,
I mean, I'm not his therapist, so
yeah. So here's the thing: it works that way, but it's not that simple, right? Like I think I was explaining last week. When people get into bad relationships, they often recognize, they know it's a bad relationship.
Yeah, they ignore the red flags. I've done that.
But they ignore it in different ways, right? Yeah. So like people who are passive will be like, they'll get a little junky car and they'll be in that little junky car. And if they're passive, they'll just be like, no matter what, the radio doesn't work, the radiator blows, the transmission is sliding.
I'm just gonna stick with it.
My tire's rolling down the wheel ahead, the road ahead of me. It doesn't matter. This is my car. And no matter what, I'm staying in this car. This car is fabulous.
I'm keeping it.
It's the best car I've ever been in. And then other folks will aggressively be in that car and they'll just try to shame the car into getting better. They'll be like, you know what? Your wheels are terrible. Why are your wheels so bad? You look at all the other wheels out here. You don't see anybody else running around here with like holes in their wheels. So get it together. But they won't do anything constructively to actually say, oh, okay, we got to go examine the wheel. Then we got to go buy the wheel. It's just, I'm going to just complain about the wheel, right? But I'm never going to fix it, right? Yeah. And those are really hard structures because those folks work in ways that we call complementary, right? So if I have something that's symmetrical, then they are the same, right? Yeah. They have a certain symmetry. If they are complementary, they play certain roles. So like they fit together like yin and yang, right? So
which makes sense.
So we find that people will be in these complementary relationships because it functions really well. Someone who is really selfish and needs a lot of attention is going to gravitate to someone
the person that will give it
to them, right? And someone who is, insecure and people pleasing will find a person to please
because
right. Yeah. So you do tend to find that what we would call complementary pairings. We find that in healthy relationships and in maladaptive relationships. And when we find it in maladaptive relationships, we start to give it, labels like narcissist and empath, right?
That makes sense.
But it's complementary. And that is why you find a lot of these partnerships and pairings, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah. It's like, it's like a different version of opposites attract. Thank you, Forrest. I very much appreciate that question.
And it puts things into a different perspective.
It does. It does.
It really does.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners. Thank you so much. If you are interested in sending us a question, we would love to hear it. Any topic, send us a message at our email. That's rainbowdreamcatchertlp@gmail.com. You can also hit us up on all of the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, whatever else they got coming out, TikTok if it's still available in this country, You can find us on all of those platforms at Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast. And we also encourage you that if you've made it this far and you have found this to be helpful and supportive, go on ahead and subscribe or follow us on any of our platforms. Every single subscription really helps. And when you subscribe, it helps the algorithm, which helps us. It's a small step, but it will really help us to reach our goals. Thank you to all of our subscribers and listeners so far. And thank you to our subscribers in the future for taking that step that's going to be really helpful to us. So I guess we have come to the end of our experimental podcast. Yeah. I really had a great time. Thank you so much to Steph.
Is it okay if I plug my channels a bit?
Please, Steph, tell folks where they can find you.
Find me. You can find me myself on Instagram at Stephos, STEPHOHS. And I'm also part of a horror channel on YouTube called Final Girlz, and it's Final Girlz with a Z.
Yes, and it is fantastic. Yes. It is a really great channel. It's growing, and if you like horror and you like fun,
you like girls that get scared of horror movies,
if you like girls that get scared, this is a really great channel. I really encourage you to check it out. And we will leave links in the description that you can certainly check out Steph. But until next time, this has been Rainbow Dreamcatcher, the Love Podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.